Hey APUS history people, we have a video for you today breaking down a Jacob Riis photograph. You've seen it before, very important as it relates to the progressive era. Let's get going. All right, some background info on Jacob Riis. He was a Danish immigrant and he lived in New York City, and he was really good friends with then police commissioner Teddy Roosevelt in the 1890s, and he helped bring attention to the plight of urban immigrants in the late 19th, early 20th century. And he did so through his photographs. And you can see here, this illustration, we have Teddy Roosevelt and Jacob Riis right behind him. They would actually kind of like patrol the streets of New York City sometimes at night. All right, so How the Other Half Lives. This is published in 1890, and he used flash photography to document tenements in New York City. Tenements were the poor housing that many immigrants and urban poor lived in. They were later destroyed. Many of these tenements were later destroyed, and better housing was built as a result of the publication of How the Other Half Lives. Okay, here's this famous photograph. You know you've seen it before. Take a moment and look it over. Look at how many people there are in such a tight space. All right, some document analysis questions. Why did Riis use photography to spread his message? Well, it's probably easier to spread his message. You know, you've heard the phrase, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Plus, this would be able to be understood by people regardless of the language that they spoke. It's also more accessible to see visuals than it is to read a story. If you're walking by a street, you see the newspaper cover, and there's a visual, you can understand that more than the story that you don't have time to read. How might people respond differently to photos than articles? Well, it's harder to ignore photos than it is articles. And why might some people live in a small apartment? Why are there so many individuals crammed into this tiny apartment? Well, they had low wages, and it was very difficult for them to afford bigger apartments. How would a supporter of social Darwinism view the people in the picture? So think about social Darwinism, and they pretty much would tell these people, like, you need to work harder, that the rich deserve to be rich and the poor deserve to be poor because they just simply need to work harder. They're not taking advantage of what is out there. All right, time to hip it up. The historical context, the U.S. is industrializing in the late 19th century, and we see this huge growth of cities. And again, this is the beginning of the progressive movement, and we see calls for reforms from progressive reformers. The intended audience is New Yorkers, especially those that were wealthy, not living in these tenements, and reformers, to be able to say to them, look, this is what other New Yorkers are living like. This is what the other half is experiencing. The point of view is negative towards industrialization, and the purpose is to show the plight of immigrants and tenement housing, and hopefully to inspire reform. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Best of luck on all your exams this year, and have a good day.